Praise Allah. Honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Honors to the Moorish Science of America, teaching about the uplifting of fallen humanity. Honors to Brother Marcus Messiah Garvey Bay and the organization of waving with alongside the Moorish flag, red flag with the five-pointed ring star center. Marcus Garvey Bay waving the red, black, and green demonstration. The banner that represents the Universal Negro and Improvement Association. Honors to all the harbingers who paved the way for the future leaders and members of the Moorish Science of America. Now we have to ask ourselves the question, what is really going on? I'll get that to in a minute. Right now, DJ Cool, cut that. So, regarding the show today, toxic is, toxic does. We really have to be truly mindful of our thinking. We have to be truly mindful of what information we receive. We have to be truly mindful of our resting pattern. When we rest at night, or we rest during the midday, whatever the case may be. We have to be mindful of our dieting. Because without proper dieting, the toxicity will continue to exist. They put more poison in the media, the school, the religious organizations to sow the benefits of being rich or die trying. Now, me myself, I'm a person who wasn't always into more science growing up, but I was taught a little bit growing up though. And we have to be very mindful of information we receive and how we feed the information to the young people or anybody, or regurgitate the information out without doing factual information. The problem is with that is called speaking without thinking. And then when someone tells you that their information is not correct, it becomes into a feud. It becomes a situation where they become best friends, colleagues, business partners, business partner as a spouse, business partner as family. But yet and still, everything's been indoctrinated. Talking about you can't mix business and pleasure. Well, I would say 50% of that is true and 50% of that is not true. If you have a toxic state of mind, that means that you are still caught up into your childhood, adolescence of terrible tools, because now you got the gimmies and you can't get what you want, so you're going to throw a temper tantrum, which leads to some type of narcissism and sadistic behavior. And this is why I have the show today, because what I speak about is very valid and very important. Now, when we start understanding the conditions of the past, now in this modern day time is more like a social behavior. or a behavior of the mindset. If it's not corrected when the child is little, then that means you're going to have some problems. And the child doesn't want to be corrected, then you have got yourself a person who's a handful, who's going to get into a lot of trouble and cause you a lot of hardship and a lot of grief, which is going to lead to harlotism, sadistic behavior, narcissism, and some European cave mind syndrome to misuse and mistreat people to get what you want. Well, wow, you're thinking like King Herod. So if nobody honor you, you're going to murder them on the spot. That's a behavior. That's a behavior that not only starts with the so-called Negro, blacks, and colors, but it goes all the way across the board because somebody wants to be in power. Someone wants to be the man. Someone wants to be the one who is the dictator and use manipulation to harm other people and to get what they want. To be subservient. To be a slave to someone else's thinking. And this is one thing that certain religious organizations teach. But they teach it subliminally. They're very good with wordplay. They teach that hopscotch demonstration, that double Dutch demonstration, to the point where you in, you out, you in, you out, you in, you out, and they're dictating you and telling you what to believe, what not to believe, what to have faith in, what not to have faith in, how to oppress your people, how to oppress wife, how to oppress your husband, how to oppress your wife. It's all done subliminally. I'm calling it for what it is. So we have to be very mindful when people speak. And when people speak, they tell on themselves, I know I do, but I demonstrate righteousness. And I know and learning from my history that I have a good heart. I love people. I love my people. I love people across the board. But anybody who's trying to get over on me, I can pretty much pick it up. I can sense it. So then when I call them out on it, they get mad, they want to fight. I say this, you want to fight, let's go. Let's do this. Because see, I'm not going to sit here and have you manipulate me. And then indoctrinate me with your personal teachings as falsehood. Nor you have no proof to back it up, but you cannot say that because I appear to look like a black man, so-called, doesn't mean I'm a black man. I'm a Moor. I'm Moorish. The thing that gets me, you don't even need a court of law to prove evidence that black and white so-called people don't exist. You can sit here and take something simple, a crayon, a phone, a piece of paper, and you can show them, okay, you have a shade of skin of olive. Okay, you got that. Praise Allah, you got that. All right. So, is your skin really black? So let's just say you got a black shirt on. And look at the black shirt. Look at it according to your skin complexion. Now the question is there a match? And the people would say yes. But in all actuality, they're been bamboozled with European psychology. This political status, that's what it is, of an ethnicity that is being owned by the European powers that be. So all these words in English language, you don't own it. Matter of fact, Europeans could say nigga all they want. But so-called black people don't own it. When did they get... Okay, now the question is this. If the so-called black people own the word black, Negro, nigga, and nigger and all that other stuff, right? Let's just say they do. Now, where's the proof of evidence that this particular so-called black people as a whole own the rights to those titles or those colors. Where is so have they paid the person who already have that trademarked and patent? So where does the so-called black people have that access and that finances like that to be able to own these titles? Negro, black, colored, Afro-American, African-American, Puerto Rican, Costa Rican, Filipino. You're only owned by what title they give you, and you have to accept it. Now, if you think outside the box and you do your homework and you type up, you're like, oh, that's who owns it. Oh, okay, 1779. Okay, so that's when it came out. Okay, that makes sense. I understand. Now, with titles being put upon a specific people and telling you that this specific color is beautiful, I don't see anything beautiful about being in sadness and dreading your state of mind to a lower vibrational thinking where you have to accept being this, but that's not who you are. The Dred Scott decision proves it. 1855. I'm sorry, 1857. I said correct. 1857. Spencer versus Dungy case, 1855. That's 2 years apart. There's a difference between the two, and I'm going to explain why. Abraham Lincoln, who happened to be William Dungy's lawyer, did an investigation on William Dungy and proved and said, my client is not a Negro. And I say that he's not a Negro because that's slander and defamation of character. So when we start understanding and start reading the minutes, the Spencer versus Dungy case versus 2 years later, the Dred Scott decision, it all matches up. Because now we're looking at the Spencer versus Dungy case. He got his land back and everything. Everything was dismissed. So now in court of law, he's being recognized as a Moor. Lincoln got shot in the back of the head because he's about to reveal some stuff that he already knew. You can't be emancipated, but you still carry the names that allude to slavery. How are you emancipated, but you ain't made a public notice of proclamation to prove that you're Moorish American, that you're not Negro, Black, and colored, Afro-American, and African-American? Where does that make sense? Tell me how you can prove that you are inferior as a Negro, Black, and colored, Afro-American, African-American. You're inferior to the people of Europe who came here on the slave ship, the Slavic ship, to be able to understand that they have denounced their nationality as a group as a whole because they didn't get along. And they took upon the title at Caucasian. They didn't like that. They took upon the title white. And white happens to represent superior. Now, when we start understanding where all this stuff came from, now we're going to understand why Morgan Freeman told Mr. Wallace he said, I'm going to stop calling you white and you're going to stop calling me black. Makes perfect sense to me. Because now here comes slander and defamation of character. Morgan Freeman already knew where that was going. So, talking about, did you want a Black History Month? He said, no. Did you want a White History Month? Oh, you're not white. Oh, he says, Miss Wallace, yes, I'm Jewish. You like a Jewish History Month? No. Good. I don't want a Black History Month because why would I want to settle on my history to 1 month? And good. Now you're gonna stop calling. I'm gonna stop calling you white. You're gonna stop calling me black. Cold. It's the truth. But see, you look at the skin tone of everybody on the face of this earth, and no one fits the description of being black. I'm going to stop this for a moment. I want to give my shout outs. I know I usually do it in 30 minutes, but all right. Islam. First runner up, Diva Jordan. I don't know about that word diva, but peace and blessings, Islam. And to the person who's had as an aging writing, I can't read that. I'm sorry, I'm not fluent. Come on, man, Islam. Peace and blessings to you, my Asian family out there. And Fred Hinkle. Black people in Rednex read Thomas Sowell version. Fred Hinkle says facts. Islam. Well, until we start understanding how things came about and how you are so called to be Negro, black, or colored, you don't have any rights to begin with because you're out of law. And now the 14th Amendment talks about 3/5 of a person, which was reconstructed, redrafted, so to speak. So that way you don't even know that the first two that represents is nationality and religion. But yo, DJ Cool, cut that, brother. Islam. So we have to be very, very mindful of how we address our loved ones. If we're going to talk, if we have a problem with them, we're going to pull them to the side and talk directly to them. And if they're not going to get it, you know, you let your moms, you may be an adult and all, but you're going to let your moms know what's going on. And mom's going to talk to her sister, brother, whoever it may be, right? And they're going to try to, you know, be a mediator to stop this violence between cousins, family, brother, sister, whoever in the family. The most important thing is love. People say love don't live here. Well, guess what? That's your way of thinking. And people have to understand that cliches will get you all wrapped up into something that's not even valid. Oh, well, and I'm going to do a show on cliches. Y'all got to remind me. But anyone out there who needs to understand about cliches, you got to be very mindful of what you read. Because you know what? One day people keep repeating this stuff over and over again, and it hurts my ears to keep hearing it over and over again. And then there's no proof. I never knew, number one, I never knew that, okay, so this is what they say. If you got black blood in you and you happen to be white, so that means you're black. But let's be mindful of what the word black means in etymology. Black, adjective, bleach, pale. Wow, pale. Oh, that's what it says. So the only people I know who are pale skin is Caucasian, aka so-called white people. So when you see, now I've seen this on different occasions, and it really surprises me that a person who is pale skinned and about to turn pink, who is pink, and you gotta see all kinds of blemishes through their skin, you can see it's obvious. So if white is an adjective which describes a noun, it's a description. So how is that these Europeans here in America are American, number one, supposedly, allegedly, and they have, which word white means free of blemish. But you see, and you look at dead Adam in their face, and their whole anatomy, you say, they got some blemish everywhere. So how does that make them white? Okay, so now let's go ahead. Let's look at the black people, so called. So called black people are lacking of light, sullen, evil, wicked. Now, don't get me wrong. According to what moms and my pops taught me, there's good and bad in everyone. That's what they taught me. But I don't know if that's true to a certain degree. Now, I met a small percentage of so-called Caucasian white people who are just. I can't make it up. They're just. They will talk to you and everything, whether they're obese or not. And I'm going to be real with you. And I'm going to quote every last one of what they said about white supremacy. This is what they said. Fuck them. Excuse my language, but that's what they said. That's what they said. I kid you not. So, if these ones seeing their friend who happens supposedly to be black, so to speak, getting beat up by a classman or a police or whatever, you know what I'm saying, officer, slave patrol, these ones gonna come over there and start beating the crap out of these other ones because they jumping on their friend, they friend, family friend for life. This is how they roll. I can't make it up. I really can't make it up. It's showed on one of the YouTube clips. I can't even find it, but it happened. But see, they're not going to put that on YouTube. They're not going to put none of that stuff on there because you know why? They don't want you. They want you to think what the second that the Nation of Islam teaches is that all whites are devil. These are their exact words. I never saw a white person a day in my life, nor I saw a black person a day in my life. So how does that apply? Those are misnomers. So every time Farrakhan and all the brothers and sisters of the Nation of Islam start talking about the white man or whatever, so if you hate white so much, why are you wearing it? Number two, if you love being black, how come the sister's not wearing a black hijab and the black attire? Why are they wearing white? Now the second thing is, if they hate so-called white people so much, then why do they got a 501c3? People have to be very, very mindful of what they say. And they talking about the white man is a devil. That's what they're saying. That's what the Nation of Islam is saying. That's what the 5% are saying. United Nation of Islam. That's what they're saying. But how is it that this specific adjective teaches superiority over the color black, which represents inferior? So basically, every time someone says white and black, they're saying that this one has superior over me, this one's inferior to me. And that's why I don't use these words. I call them what they are. European. Either you're evil, the devil, or not. You know, that's. But whatever you do behind closed doors with that whole male chauvinism thing, that's on you. That's not on me. But I'm gonna call it out. I'm gonna call it facts what it is. This is not hate. You can say what you like. I'm like Humpty Hump. Do what you like. That's what I say. Digital Underground. Do what you like. Hey, as long as you don't bring that stuff over to my family, shoot, we're gonna be all right. As long as you don't bring that hate indoctrination teachers to my family, we're gonna be all right. That's real. You know, Salah Ulayah Salam, peace and blessings to the family members who passed away. You know what I'm saying? Peace and blessings be upon them. Whether they're part of my immediate family or family abroad. From my people from North Central South America, the islands. You see what I'm saying? My people of Asia, who are just, my people of Africa who are just, my people who are Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, you know what I mean, India, you know, some of my people of Europe who are just, you know what I'm saying? Praise Allah for them. But I'm not going to sit here and try to fabricate the truth, because I'm going to look at it what it is. If it walks like a skunk and stinks like a skunk, it's a skunk. That is how I roll. You cannot sit here and try to indoctrinate me for me to be subservient to your evasive way of thinking that causes a whole bunch of nuts, sweet nothings. So if it's sweet and it's nothing, that means it stinks. I'm not going to sit here and call the people of Puerto Rico Puerto Rican. I'm not going to do that. Until you start really taking the time out and start critiquing everything that you read and start coming to the conclusion, and you start looking at what certain things mean. Try to identify what the theory of the hypothesis you, the educated guess, to see if it really aligns up. Because if anything, you'll keep cursing people. You're going to curse your own people. You're going to curse the other person's people or whatever. That's what you're going to do. Whether you eat swine or not. I'm going to call it what it is. But you cannot sit here and say you good and you eating good, but you eating scavenger food, you drinking alcohol, but yet still you having trouble in your marriage. But the problem is you just as well as her. She needs to change, you need to change. The problem just can't just be on one person. It takes two to tango. It takes two to fight. So if the person strikes back, they're just, whether it be just or not, it's just, it's fair. It's not just, it's guilty. I'm gonna call it what it is. So when people start understanding the toxicity of where people come from, and people are lusting after people on YouTube and sending money to people and feeling bad, feeling guilty, but they're the one who put themselves in the madness, and yet so they're lusting after this particular one, and they don't want no relationship, but they're sending out messages, we ate this, we did this, sleep with me, and all this other stuff. You're sending out the wrong message. You know, I can care less about what people do in their personal life, but don't be putting out messages saying one thing and then being a hypocrite and doing something else, saying the opposite of what you mean. And all of a sudden now you're going to have allegations against you. First and foremost, people are showing their face on YouTube. That's your prerogative. But don't be sitting out here trying to put out content and expect to get rich with YouTube, because it's not going to happen. I don't do this because I want to get money. I do this because I love my people. I love people. I love the young people. And as far as the young people is concerned, y'all need to go get a trade. Sisters, whatever place is open that teaches how to sew, buy your sewing machine from Walmart, go ahead, do it, get it done, because guess what? They're going to shut everything down. Donald Trump is next to be impeached. What else is going on? The riot, they're going to shut the stuff down. You ain't got yourself 90-day supply worth of food? Yeah, they're going to shut down grocery stores. They're going to be shutting them down, and you guys, guess what? Y'all ain't ready. And this is with the toxicity that the slaveholders bring to the people. They tell you that you get this, you get that, and all this other stuff, and blah, 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 blah. But guess what, though? All the while they've been plotting against you. They've been plotting against you to get you to hate your own people. They smuggle drugs in the community of the so-called Negro, blacks, and colors, so that way we can be divided amongst each other. And now all of a sudden, now we're wearing the same rag, red and blue rag, that the farmers wear on the plantation, on the farmland, so-called. And now we banging this rag. Now we banging this color. Now we got this name Compton. We got this name Watts. But all these names are European names. And so that means these names are European names. You banging these numbers or whatever. That means you're connected to the European slaveholders. So that means you're gang banging on the plantation. And now you feuding. And guess what? The Ku Klux Klan is all of a sudden now watching. Don't have to do nothing. Doesn't terrorize no more communities. No more Marcus Garvey movement. No more UNIA. And no one wants to bind together, but all of a sudden now you have one we as so-called United States citizens of America, so-called, are being bombarded with all of this hate, and now our common enemy is the ones who are in power, but they're telling us to fight each other. And all of a sudden now we got the slave patrol, which is the modern day police officer, the 1800s, now committing treason, violating the Constitution every time they put on that uniform. Whether you want to accept it or not, it's the truth. You know how many people have obstruction of justice against so-called law enforcement officers? Plenty. Whether they Caucasian, Hispanic, Chinese, whatever. They all went through it. Don't just look and say, oh, the Rodney King is some black man thing. No, it goes deeper than that. If your birth certificate on the record says that you black and you got an ethnicity behind that, that means you're not even an American citizen. You can't prove it. You ain't got no constitution. You ain't got no law. You ain't got no military. So what you got? Nothing. It's only a small group of you and there's a bigger group of them because they got a military. So what you gonna do? Where's the facts? Where's the information to prove to protect yourself? What do you need to do to proclaim your nationality? Mauritius is a way of life. Mauritius is the city of Moroccans, the ancient Moabites and Canaanites. The most highly intelligent people, more talented than the Nephilim. We've been on this earth for over 10,000 years. The Europeans 6,000 years old. 6,000. Started with the seed of Esau, the Edomite, homosexuality. Yeah, for real. Jezebel was promiscuous too, so she don't get no leeway. Jezebel's not even part of the bloodline of Jesus. She's the bloodline of Esau. Part of the same rituals these demonic rituals they be practicing behind closed doors. Guess what? It's all Baal. It's demonic worship. You can sit here, try to twist it up all you want, fabricate it, put it on a bowl, and wrap it up and put it again and send it off. Prove it. So, witchcraft works, right? So what happens if you back down and you don't want to do it no more? Let me tell you something that's toxicity in the education school system. I remember one time I was in taking English literature. And we happened to what's the word I'm looking for? We happened to be reading on this thing called Antigone. So not knowing that my teacher was a homosexual, I had no idea. I had a speculation that he was until he proved it. He was talking about how Antigone, a lot of these people who are dressed up in women's clothing are not women, they're men. So now you know where transgenderism came from. Now you know where pedophilia came from. Came from Europe. Homosexuality, bestiality came from Europe. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you or not? That the reason why these ones are getting away with so much is because they're living a life of a lower vibration thinking. You can't call yourself white if you're not about that life. If you're not pure in heart and you want for the people as you want for yourself, instead of making false accusation, bear false witness against our neighbor, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, you know what I'm saying, slanderous words that the Europeans, 90% of them plus use to get their point across, to call the police or whatever, and make fraudulent reports so that way they can be happy or whatever. Oh yeah, trust me. It's already happened, I know. A lot of people are not ready for it. You can't live your life according to a color if you're not going to represent it. You can't be white if you're going to be demonstrating lewdness acts. So that means you're black. So that means the Europeans are the black people and the white people are the Asiatics. Because the Moors want for the people as they want for themselves. Oh. Civilized Asia, civilized Europe. Brought language, French, Portuguese, Spanish. The Italian language. Come on now. Where do you think these European languages come from? The Russian language. It was invented by a Moor. I can't make it up. I would love to make it up, but I can't. Because the language should start with us. Now, whether people want to understand it or not, you guys could be stepping up to me talking about you white. I don't mean nothing to me. What's that so-called color gonna do for you when I sit you down and school you? How was that so-called white power gonna buck up against the person who got the truth? And all you're gonna do is back down and then try to justify everything I said and rebuttal it. But you can't even prove to me your Constitution. You can't say that the American Constitution was drafted by you because you couldn't read or write to begin with. Y'all was illiterate from the get-go, from the jump street. Then again, it's supposed to be hate I'm speaking, right? How do you think not? So whether y'all want to be indoctrinated, practicing this evasive way of thinking and being subservient to the truth, now you have to understand is you got a lot of research and a lot of homework to do. And as far as that Ancestry.com is concerned, the thing is a lie. I don't trust it. I'm my public enemy. I can't trust it. So all those people who are watching right now, I pray that everything that as a group of people, we find solutions. Because right now we're in combat and we're in war and we have to fend for ourselves now. Government, United States government, corporation, democracy has already turned their back on us. They've been turning their back on us. They're getting rich off of your labor. They're getting rich off of your name. That's on that birth certificate. That's connected to your social security number, which is the account number to your fiduciary. And then again it says in the Bible, it says, my people will perish for a lack of knowledge. Yes, indeed. It's so true. Until you understand that your U.S. citizenship ain't going to mean nothing at the end. And these ones who are going to Europe, being deported, you're going to have to go back. You can't take none of this stuff with you. Everything here belongs to the Moors. So now the question you need to ask yourself, are you truly white? Are you truly black? Why don't you all hold up a piece of paper that's all white? You hold it to your friend and see if they're truly white. Then you hold Caucasian people, Europeans. These are the things you must ask yourself. Truth or not to be the truth? That is the question. Don't acknowledge indoctrination to fill your head up with folly and falsehood. To the point where you know it all and you don't know it all. Now the question you want to ask yourself is, why is all this happening? It's called world domination. Whether people at the Pentagon want to accept it or not. Oh, that's what it is. So when are my people going to wake up? You have to do your own homework, you have to do your own study. Alright, y'all. Peace and love. Islam family.